Am I the asshole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? Hi Reddit. This happened earlier today, and I'm still kinda stewing over it, so I need to know if I overreacted or if it was justified. I, 29 female, was invited to a friend's barbecue. My ex Jake, 30 male, and I broke up about 2 years ago. It was mutual. We both agreed that we weren't right for each other long term, and since we share a close friend group, we've stayed civil and occasionally see each other at gatherings, and it's usually fine. Jake's been dating Sophie, 26 female, for about 6 months. I don't know her well, but every time we've been around each other, she seems to go out of her way to make little passive-aggressive jabs at me. Stuff like, "Wow, you're still single? That's brave." Or, "Must be nice having so much free time without kids." I've always let it slide to avoid drama. A bit more info. Even though we broke up, there's been multiple moments where it's obvious Jake isn't fully moved on. For one, he still finds excuses to text me random stuff, like sending memes or asking about old inside jokes we had. He'll accidentally bring up memories from when we were together when we were in a group, or mention songs and places that meant something to us. On top of that, a few mutual friends have let slip that he's told them he still has feelings, or at least isn't fully over our relationship. Nothing inappropriate while he's with Sophie, as far as I know, but it's clear there are lingering feelings there, and I think Sophie might sense it too, which is probably part of the reason that she's so weirdly hostile toward me. Back to the story. Today, Sophie was at it again. Every time I was within earshot, she would drop little digs like, "Some people just can't move on, huh?" Or, "Guess it takes some people longer to grow up." I ignored it for hours. But then towards the end of the night, she made another comment, "Well, not everyone can handle being in a healthy relationship." And that was it for me. I turned to her and said, "You're right, it takes a special kind of person to date a guy still hung up on his ex." It went dead silent. Sophie looked stunned. Jake looked beyond uncomfortable, and a couple of our friends awkwardly tried to change the subject. I left soon after because I didn't want things to get worse. She was making digs at me all night, and I finally stood up for myself. But part of me feels like I maybe went too far by throwing that in her face, even though it's true. I never planned to use what Jake had said and done like that, and now I wonder if I made it unnecessarily messy. So Reddit, am I the asshole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? In the comments, Beautiful Term says, "Not the asshole. She effed around and found out. Also, if she's so happy in her new relationship, she wouldn't work so hard to bring another woman down. I don't think a healthy relationship involves one partner constantly making digs at their ex. Seems like you're a little obsessed there, sweetie." Well said. If she, Sophie, was so very happy, there wouldn't be a need for all of those comments. Not the asshole. She was asking for it. Good job for sticking up for yourself. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She kept pushing, and OP finally pushed back. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but Jake wasn't asking for it, and she embarrassed him, probably more than the girlfriend. It doesn't say anywhere that Jake was aware of the snide comments, and from experience, people who act like this girlfriend are sneaky enough to fly under the radar of the person they're with. OP should have made a comment just about the girlfriend and left Jake and his feelings out of it. Now the whole friend group could be awkward depending on how Jake handles it. Like, I get where they're coming from, and I understand that this is one way to deal with a situation like that, but I really highly doubt these comments flew under the radar of Jake. I feel like he heard it, he understood the comments, and he chose not to say anything about it because he didn't want to cause a scene. I don't think the onus is on OP to look after his feelings in this situation when attacking the girlfriend. How come Jake's girlfriend doesn't have to think about the impact that her words have on Jake, but OP has to think about it? It's a two-way street. If you punch me, I'm punching you back. Equal rights, equal lefts. Jake gets caught in the crossfire because Jake didn't do anything to put his girlfriend in line before this to get her to stop the shit. Who cares if the whole friend group could be awkward depending on how Jake handles it? He had the chance himself to stop this from happening, and he didn't do it. OP can only take so much. I think there comes a point where you need to stop putting up with the constant passive-aggressive comments and defend yourself. Jake be damned. Not the asshole. And now, onto the update. Hey again, Reddit. Just wanted to post a quick update since a lot happened. Well, I'm still kinda processing it, but it feels worth sharing. So after I left the barbecue and posted, I got a flurry of texts from mutual friends, mostly along the lines of, "Damn, that was awkward but also overdue." Apparently everyone noticed Sophie's digs throughout the day, and more than one person told me they were surprised I lasted as long as I did before finally saying something. Jake, for what it's worth, hasn't said a single word to me. Not an apology, not a, "Hey, that was a lot." Nothing. Radio silence. But I did get a very long, very dramatic message from Sophie last night, basically accusing me of trying to sabotage her relationship and calling me emotionally manipulative. I didn't respond. I don't see the point, especially because here's the kicker. I've actually been seeing someone for a few months now. His name's Daniel. He's thoughtful, mature, low drama, and most importantly, not still caught up on an ex. We've been keeping things fairly private while we found our footing, but last night, after the total chaos of the barbecue, I posted a picture of us to the friend group chat. Just us smiling at a coffee shop. Totally normal. Within the hour, Sophie left the chat. Make of that what you will. Anyway, Daniel has been incredibly supportive about everything, and honestly, I think seeing that photo and realizing that I've 100% moved on was the final crack in whatever illusion Sophie was holding on to. One of our mutuals mentioned that things were not going well between her and Jake, which, yeah, that tracks. So yeah, I don't feel bad about what I said anymore. Maybe I could have been softer, but sometimes the truth is sharp and people don't like how it feels. Thanks again for all of the responses. Reading through the comments really helped me feel like I wasn't just being petty or reactive. I'm good now. Actually, I'm better than good. And Daniel brings me coffee and emotional security. So that's a win. In the comments, Lyndon Lil Blue Balls says, "When people make passive-aggressive digs, I always feign ignorance and ask them to explain like I'm an idiot. Or drop the old faithful, what an odd thing for an adult to say." 100%. I don't understand. Can you explain the joke to me? Sophie convinced herself that she won and based her entire relationship off of it. Now that she realizes there's no one to compete with, and there never was, she's left trying to find an excuse to continue the relationship with Jake. No, it's actually worse. She lost to someone who's not even trying to win. She lost to someone that wasn't even playing and had no idea that there was an option to play. Yeah, just sad, pathetic behavior all around from her. I hope she finds some happiness in her sad and pathetic life, but doesn't really sound like she will. Best of luck to her finding that in the future. Like, what a stupid and dramatic waste of time. She embarrassed herself and she embarrassed Jake, and at the end of the day, did she even want to be with Jake? Or did she just want to be in competition with someone? That's like real psycho behavior right there. Anyway, thank you for the story, OP. Sorry that happened, but hope you're doing better now. Am I the asshole here? I broke up with a heart surgeon boyfriend over his mum's comments on me being a nurse. I'm 27 female, and I am a nurse. I make a good salary as a private nurse for a firm which provides care for rich families. 6 figures in my country, not the USA. I'm proud of my career. I wanted to be a doctor when I was a teenager, but it wasn't possible for my family to provide me medical education, and at the time, I felt some self-hate being a nurse. But by age 20, I became a nurse. Now I love it. This job has made it possible for me to buy my own house, car, and travel outside the country. I have a good pension plan and other savings, and I can raise a family on my own income. I have or had a boyfriend, let's call him Rob, 28 male, who was into the heart specialty, and we fell in love during hospital visits. He was the one to pursue me. He is going to be a heart surgeon. His mum always made passive-aggressive comments about me being a nurse. We got engaged recently, and all of his relatives were at our family dinner party held by Rob's parents last week. So his mum and aunts at the dinner table joked around that a heart surgeon like Rob can get any female doctor that he wanted as a wife. Rob took offense and said Nia, me, is very much independent and makes a good salary herself to take care of a whole family. But his mum went on, I have had enough. I have respect for housewives, but this time I fired back. I said his mum and aunts are all gold-digging housewives with no life skills outside of raising kids. They live on their husband's money who are rich, and some of them started crying. Then they started shouting. Everyone, including Rob, asked me to apologize. I broke up on the spot and said I will not sell my self-respect to his family. I said I'd rather marry a normal man than a surgeon whose family doesn't respect me. I left, and now Rob is begging for a second chance. I know he tried to silence his mum, but I don't see a future with him. I see a lifetime of taunts, and I can't ask him to cut off his parents, which he won't do anyways. My parents are saying that he's a good catch and just to ignore his mum's comment. But money isn't everything, and social status isn't everything. I don't want to be looked down upon, but I miss him and it's breaking my heart. Edit to add, he's tried to stop their comments whenever I told him that it bothered me. He said to try to ignore them, and when he tried arguing with them, they said that they're just joking and he shouldn't disrespect his elders. Also, after marriage, we would have shifted to a house next door. I would never have peace in my life, I realized. He would never cut them off, nor would I force anyone. It's better to end things. In the comments, Llama Drama Queen says, so let me get this straight. His mum thinks he can do better than a six-figure earning nurse? Maybe she should consider applying for the role of family drama queen instead. OP replies, I don't want to boast, but I make on par, and maybe even better than some non-surgery doctors. But I am a nurse, and that is what bothers her. Screw her. Be proud of yourself. You should be. Don't let anyone bring you down. And that's all this family will probably do if you continue this relationship. I think you made the right choice. Stand your ground, choose you, good luck. Impossible Nebula says, even if he married a doctor, she would still have a problem, because at the core, she is driven by jealousy because look at how easily you walked away because you yourself are very successful and don't need to beg for scraps from anyone. Your head is held up high. Meanwhile, she couldn't do the same because her life depends on a man and his money. You're above these people. Choose yourself. Girl, you chose you, and I respect that. Like, yeah, love is cute and all, but not when it comes with a side of disrespect from the in-laws buffet. You don't sign up for a lifetime of microaggressions just to be someone's respectable nurse wife when you're already out here thriving. His mum is acting like you're some peasant for not being a doctor, meanwhile you're out here making six figures, traveling and owning property. Be serious. And Rob might be a sweetheart, but if he can't put his mum on mute when she's coming for your whole existence, then what's the point? You didn't lose a heart surgeon. You dodged a future group chat full of backhanded compliments and when are you going back to school vibes. You're the prize. You always were. Keep the crown on. I feel like that comment is just reiterating what OP said in their edit to add. OP realizes that he's never going to stop them from attacking you. He is incapable of standing up for himself, incapable of standing up for you, and he doesn't want to. He values his current, immediate family more than he values the potential future family that he can build with you. That shows where his priorities are at, and I believe him when he shows who he really is, especially in these more minor conflicts now. If he's not going to back you up on these ones where it's much easier to back you up, that tells me he's not going to be there for you in the future, and you know that. You've said as much in the post. There's no point pursuing a relationship with him if he's going to allow you to be abused and belittled by his family, who have no right to say what they're saying. It's disgusting behavior, and he should be clamping down on it, but he's not. I don't blame you for leaving. You can do better, and you deserve better. Not the asshole. And now, on to the update. Hi, I deleted my old account as I didn't want to continue posting, but most comments gave me some sense, and I'm thankful. Rob and I met a few days after that event after I made the original post. He came to my place to discuss. My brother was there, but I sent him to the other room before Rob came in, and he didn't know that my brother was there. I just wanted to be safe. He cried and I cried too. But I told him the only way that it's possible for me to get with him is that we have to shift far from his parents and limit contact from my side with his family and our future kids. He said that it isn't possible, and his family will be a great support system for us. He told me that he'll make huge amounts of money and I can continue part-time when we have kids, as he will pay me around my salary to spend. That's such a good idea. Wow, he sounds like a really brilliant person to continue a relationship with, because there's no way that can go wrong. Of course. My independence is something I value, and I refused. I told him that his mother will not raise my kids, and I will not leave my job. He got angry, and our discussion became heated. And in anger, he slapped me hard and literally ripped my shirt when he held my arm. I'm a 5'9" woman, but a 6-foot muscular man made me realize how weak I felt physically at that moment. I called my brother out, and when he saw my blood from my nose and ripped shirt, he lost it and beat Rob to a pulp, so much so that I had to stop him. In the end, we called his family and the police got involved. It was decided that he won't press charges if I don't because it'll ruin his career, and I also wanted no trouble for my brother. But I have a restraining order in process. The relationship is all over. My love went to zero with that slap of his. His mother begged me not to file charges. Anyway, thanks Reddit for opening my eyes. I never knew my ex was like this before this incident because he never raised a hand at me. If my brother wasn't there, I don't know what could have happened to me. I got a camera installed a couple of days back, though I will sell this house and buy a house in my parents' neighborhood. This is a finished chapter of my life, and I will not date someone for months. I'm going on a 3-week trip to Europe this summer, and I want to heal my heart and soul. This is my final update. Thank you. In the comments, CarelessImage885 says, "Not the asshole. Thank heavens you found out how abusive he is. I'm sorry that you were injured. You should file charges. Go scorched earth. Tell him that he can thank his mother." Ironically, his mother not shutting the hell up about OP being a nurse is a blessing in disguise in so many ways. And OP should file charges, because if he can slap her so easily while knowing a male relative was nearby, he'll definitely do it to his patients and or another girlfriend or girlfriends. I wish your brother hadn't beaten him up, because your ex deserved criminal charges that would ruin his life. I'm happy that you've left him though. You made the right choice, OP. A slap is one too much. Thank God your brother was there to protect you from more harm. Just make sure that you gather enough evidence about the slap, etc., just in case you need to press charges later. I hope that Rob has no power on your career. Take good care of yourself. Big hugs from Europe. I don't know enough about how the legal system works where OP is, but I think it's a damn shame that he can lay his hands on her and then get beaten the shit out of, rightfully so, and that would nullify any chance of OP getting to send him to jail? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you physically assaulted me, but because someone retaliated and defended me, that means you can't get in trouble anymore. I don't know if that's how the law works. I'd love someone to explain a possible situation in which this can occur. And yeah, in some way, it was a blessing in disguise that OP's potential future mother-in-law was such a horrendous and disgusting human being that it got her to a place of leaving the relationship before further physical and mental and emotional escalation of abuse by OP's partner could happen, but it still happened, and life isn't fair, And I'm glad she's out of there and, can keep a good amount of distance from him. But I would think this is going to affect her career. His abuse and his power over her in the medical system, you'd think it really would have some effect. He's going to be able to retaliate, even though he's the one that caused this. It's sad. It's all too real. It highlights some injustices in the world that you can be done wrong by and be punished. I hate that for you, OP. I hope you're able to protect yourself from what's to come here. But I wouldn't be surprised if things get a lot worse. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I hope things genuinely do get better in the future. Our next post is by a deleted account, and it's titled, My 28 female, husband 33 male, confessed to me that his increased sex drive is because one of his co-workers is trying to seduce him at work, and I don't know how to process this information. Me and my husband have been married for 3 years, and together for a total of 6 years. We've had our ups and downs in this relationship. We love each other so much, and have or had great understanding and communications. Our sex life has always been average to above normal. I don't have a very high sex drive, and so does he. So things are pretty vanilla, however, it's satisfactory for the both of us. A month ago, my husband started to change. He started to ask for sex more. He also started to become more aggressive in sex, not the bad aggressive, but the good one. It was so out of order for us, but to be completely honest, I do enjoy this change. As a matter of fact, it started to change my own sex drive itself, and I found myself wanting him more and seeking sex with him more. During this month, we became very adventurous and daring, and our sex life went to a whole new, awesome, wonderful level. Around 2 days ago, I decided to go to my husband to surprise him at work. Something I never did before. I dressed nice, put on makeup, and went to his work. When I got there, I saw him interacting with one of his female co-workers, around my age or a little bit younger. I waited for them to finish, but I kept watching them. What I saw was her clearly trying to seduce him, and believe me, women know these things. He kept keeping his distance, and eventually the talk ended. I saw it from out of the office. Their office spaces have big glass doors. When I entered his office, he was aroused. I know his facial expressions when he gets aroused, and he was. Oh my god, he was completely aroused. He was happy with my visit and took the rest of the day off. We went and had lunch together, and then went home where we had sex. At night, we were talking, and I mentioned what I saw, and asked him, what was that? He said that ever since she's come to the office, she's been all over him that way, and it drives him crazy. He even told HR, but apparently nothing happened because she keeps repeating this with him. He told me that nothing has, nor will it ever happen between them, and that he loves me to death. I believe him. However, reflecting back on all of this, and what he told me, he became more sexually active with me when all of that started with him. And it makes me wonder, am I not good enough for him that he needs another woman to excite him so that he can come and have sex with me? I really don't know how to feel about all of this. In my head, he wanted me and enjoyed me. But now I know for a fact that he's horny because of another woman. I mean, what should I do now? Should I tell him how I feel? Should I stop his advances for a little bit so I can clear my head? Please, any advice would help. In the comments, CJ the Bay says, I know it's weird to wrap your head around, but your husband is rejecting her advances and has done what he can to make it stop. You even saw them and he did not reciprocate. That being said, someone hitting on you and pursuing you so hard can excite you and make you horny. This happens because she wants him and he's being forced to withstand her feelings and think about what she's trying to do. Here's the important part. When his mind is on sex, he is thinking of you. There's someone else right in front of him that's throwing herself at him, but he immediately thinks of you instead. His mind is not on his co-worker. She's forcing him to think about sex while he's at work, and so it's on his mind more often, and he ends up initiating sex with you more often. But that's it. He isn't having or wanting sex elsewhere. When he thinks about sex, you're the one on his mind. OP says, yes, I hear you, but what about the fact that he only wanted more sex because of her, not me? I mean, let's flip it. If I was the one who initiated sex more from him, and he started to like this side of me, and then he finds out the only reason behind that was that I had a male coworker that's been hitting on me, making me horny, it wasn't him that made me horny, it was the other coworker and his advances, how would he feel then? Would it be okay? Sick of Default Sub says, you're feeling insecure because you perceive this other person's advances to have an effect on your partner, and you feel you should have a monopoly on that effect. My counter-argument is, when was the last time you consciously tried to seduce him? His body has reacted with an increased sex drive. His brain translated this into an increased desire for you. From the outside, it seems like he has done nothing but love you and act on it. If you want a monopoly on generating the physiological response, self-reflection on how much effort you put into that versus how much a person in the throes of unrequited lust may be in order. OP says, actually, I was wrong to not include that we live in a part of the world where these things are a little different from the USA and parts of Europe. Let me clarify something as well. I live in a small town in Estonia. Here, this is without any exaggeration, if things were flipped and I was the one who got my increased sex drive because of a similar incident, he would divorce me. I'm not kidding, and I'm not over-exaggerating things. This is the exact thing that would have happened to me if the situation was reversed. However, back to your comment, I get you and understand what you're trying to say to me 100%. I think I should counterbalance that equation in order to keep him attracted to me, or have a monopoly on that as you've mentioned. Thanks. I don't know who found this post and is giving OP such insane advice. They were definitely not in their right mind when they were saying this, because it really appears that OP is the one coming for help, and OP is the only logical person in this situation. They correctly point out that, yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, he'd be divorcing me. What is going on here? Are we in Crazy Town? This is incredibly suspicious. There's no way he's not cheating on OP. And we know that cheaters will mask their behavior by having an increased sex drive in their own relationship sometimes as well, so as not to arouse suspicion. There's a lot of things that cheaters do to cover their tracks, and I really do believe that this man is cheating on OP with this woman. And he's just showing off at this point. That just makes so much sense to me, and these commenters are so brain-dead saying these things to OP. And now, on to the update. Thanks to everyone who responded to my previous post and gave me advice. It was much appreciated. So last night, I waited to have a talk with him before bed. We had some wine, and we talked about the matter. I told him everything about how the whole situation makes me feel. To be completely honest, his answers are making me shake until now. I couldn't even sleep. He said that her advances towards him started mildly, with flirty words, etc., and then she started to come at him more aggressively, dropping hints and then touching him. He went to the HR and told them about the situation, and he and the HR laughed about it, and the HR told him that they will be documenting it in case she reciprocated badly or anything. But at the end, they took it as a laugh. After that, she became more aggressive with him, to the point that one day she brushed her breast on his back. He told me that on that day, he lost it for a little, and he and her made out in the office. He then stopped and told her he is married. After that, he lost it 3 more times, and they made out, and she even started to give him oral sex, but he tells me that he stopped her and told her to end everything, and since then, he has stopped everything with her. When he ended things, he felt guilt towards me and decided to become a better husband by becoming a better lover to me and started to have more sex with me. As I mentioned before, neither me nor him did have a high sex drive before, so he told me he was planning on being a better lover for me and having a little bit more sex. However, it turned out that I liked it and we ended up having more sex than what he planned. I asked him if he slept with her. He said no. I asked him if he visualizes her when he sleeps with me, and he didn't want to answer that at first, but ended up saying yes. He imagines himself having sex with her when he's with me. He started to apologize to me, and I asked him, how would he feel if I was in his shoes, and told him what he told me now. He said to not make a big deal of it, but I insisted to know the answer. He said he would be disgusted with me and there's no way he would stay married to me. I didn't say anything after that. He tried to apologize to me more than once, but I really couldn't process all of this information. This morning, he texted me from work and told me he'll be staying at his parents' place for a while, so that we can both clear our heads and can move forward with our lives. I still haven't spoken to him yet, and I honestly don't know what to do, nor how to deal with the bomb that he just dropped on me last night. Anyway, I just wanted to thank everyone who has helped me and has given me advice. Thank you, and I wish you never have to experience any sadness like this in your lives. In the comments, Little Random INFP says, "What you will do is only your choice. However, I would like to point out that this is cheating and that oral sex is sex, and so is making out. I say it because this wouldn't be the first time that I've heard someone say, but we didn't have sex, just because there wasn't any penetration. To make matters worse, it happened more than once. I'm so sorry for you. Really?" OP replies, "I 100% agree with you on that. That's my opinion too on what happened. He cheated on me with her more than once." When told to be petty and let their HR know, OP says, "I'm tempted to do so, but I don't want to cause a scene after all. I'm probably not staying with him anyway, so they can be in a real relationship once I'm gone. I just want them both very far away from me." OP's final comment, "I believe that he has already slept with her. There is no coming back from that. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. And to me, making out and oral sex is just like PIV. So to me, this is over. And I'm now taking steps to file for divorce with my divorce lawyer." I think it's just insane in situations like this, where the woman is expected to make concessions for the man cheating, and that, he just loudly and proudly says, "You know what, we're gonna make it through this. This is not the end of the world. But if you did this to me, it would absolutely be the end of the world. I would be absolutely disgusted if what I'm doing to you currently and what I'm saying to your face, you did the exact same thing to me. That would be the end of the world. The world would be over. I would be going absolutely nuts and dragging your name through the dirt and making sure everyone knows what a disgusting piece of shit you are. But, that didn't happen, so... let's just move on from this. You're being a bit dramatic, actually. What I did isn't that bad. Can you just forgive me already so that I can go over to her house instead of my parents' house here and spend some more time with her? That'd be really chill, wife." I don't understand the mind games that people play with themselves, where this is a version of reality that they live in. This is genuinely someone's life right now. This is many people's lives that exist. There is a double standard their partner holds them to. It really just does my head in, and I don't know how people can exist like that. I really don't. I'm glad that OP got out of this situation and realized what he was doing to her, because there have been stories where people take the cheating partner back anyway, and I don't understand either. Thanks for the story, OP. Enough of my waffling. Our next post is by user BeepBoopBopolis, and it's titled, "I, female 25, need to set a boundary with my coworker, female 60, and I don't know how." So my coworker had asked me to check in on her dogs while she was away dealing with a family emergency on the other side of the country. Now she wants me to house sit and spend 2 nights at her house to watch her dogs so they aren't alone. I said yes to checking in on her dogs and told her that I'd think about staying overnight. She's a very nice lady and unfortunately doesn't have anyone else who can help her. The problem is that I'm not comfortable staying the night. I don't know the area, I've never been to her house, and I would be alone. I have CPTSD and I get very nervous in new environments, especially by myself. She's aware that I'm an anxious person and that I have PTSD. I want to tell her that I'm not comfortable without making her upset or having her assume that it's got something to do with her. She's kind of a loose cannon. I don't want to make her mad. She doesn't really have good relationships with any of our other coworkers besides me. We've been working together for 6 months-ish. She also stated before she left today that no one ever helps her, and she'd really appreciate me staying there for the 2 nights. I feel guilty for not feeling comfortable with this, and I don't know how to tell her no in a way that doesn't offend her. I really want to help out, and she's offered to pay me, which I'll not accept due to her current financial situation. I'm also worried that if I don't set a boundary now, she might start asking for more favors in the future. How do I gently set a boundary without making her upset? In the comments, just tell her that you're sorry, but you won't be able to. You can give a vague excuse like something's come up, or I forgot I had something else that night, but you don't need to provide an explanation that she's willing to accept. Pet care is her responsibility, and she should have gotten a list of emergency providers squared away far enough in advance that she doesn't need to lean on you. OP replies, I feel bad because she didn't have time to arrange for anything else. The family emergency was sudden, and she's having a hard enough time as is. I appreciate your advice. Thank you. Another commenter says, maybe try something akin to, I like and respect you, Karen, but I struggle with everyday things in my own life, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that for you. If this upsets her, then she's irrational and is clearly taking advantage of you. OP says, I like this approach. She's a really nice person, but can be a little volatile with her emotions. I guess I'm just nervous because of her responses to previous situations with other co-workers. Another commenter says, checking in on her dogs is already above and beyond a co-worker relationship, and it's really nice of you to do so. If she cannot appreciate that you're setting the limit here, it's on her, not you. If she blows up on you for respectfully turning down the house sitting, just report her to HR. But hopefully, you're just escalating this too far in your head, and in reality, she'll be fine and understanding. So I just say that you'd prefer to stick to checking in on the dogs as originally agreed. I wouldn't offer any explanation, as it'll see her trying to come up with solutions. Like if you say it's because you don't know her house or neighborhood, she'll invite you to come check it out beforehand, etc. I think just sticking to a very simply preferring check-ins is best. If she asks why, just say that's what you originally agreed to, and I would like to stick to that. OP replies, I guess I'm worried about our working relationship moving forward if I say no to staying overnight. She quite literally said no one ever helps her, and she doesn't trust anyone else. We work one-on-one in a small office, and I see her 6 to 7 days a week. To say the least, upsetting her would make for a very uncomfortable experience for me. Thank you for your advice, I really appreciate it. Another commenter says, give her the link to a pet sitting service like Rover. She can hire a dog sitter or call a kennel. You can still check on the dogs and even on the pet sitter for her if you wish, without taking on the full responsibility. Also a simple, I already have commitments for that date, is also a valid thing to say. Commitments to yourself and your mental health is still a commitment. I feel for her. I really do. But at the end of the day, you gotta put yourself first, OP. You can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, and I feel like that's what she's asking you to do in this instance. To me, it boils down to that. Life isn't all black and white, I accept that. She is financially struggling, I accept that. I feel like part of the responsibility when it comes to having your own dogs, having dependents, is being ready to be told no when people close to you, like OP, are not able to help out in emergencies like that, and responding rationally to situations, being like, you know what, yes, it's not your responsibility to look after these animals, it is my responsibility to provide proper accommodation for them. I don't have any answers for her in this situation. It really does sound like she's stuck in between a rock and a hard place. There is a family emergency she has to get to now. My heart goes out to her, it truly does. But it feels like she is emotionally manipulating you to get you to do something that you don't want to do and you shouldn't have to do. And it's okay to say no to that. I feel like you're offering a very fair compromise. You're already doing enough, and the dogs will be fine. Set your boundaries, maintain them, and don't let her bully you into doing something you don't want to do. It's as simple as that. And now, on to the update. This is kind of an update to my previous post about setting a boundary with the same coworker in regard to a house and dog sitting while she was away for a family emergency. I've been working with her for almost a year. I checked in and fed her dogs daily while she was away and did not spend those nights at her house. She didn't, and still doesn't, have any local, reliable friends or family who could help her during this emergency. I did not accept the money that she tried to give me. She slipped it into my backpack after I refused the first time, and when I found it, I left it in her house after I was done feeding her dogs because she is struggling financially. It didn't feel right to accept the money. She told me that I have restored her faith in humanity, that we're basically sisters, and that if she dies, she's willing her dogs to me. I immediately said that I wouldn't be able to keep them because there's 3 of them and I couldn't afford that kind of commitment. She basically said I'd fall in love with them and it would work itself out. I care about her and her feelings. I want the best for her. I'm worried that if she starts to think about willing me her dogs, she might consider willing me other things too. This is an assumption based on a previous situation where she changed her will for someone else, seemingly without much consideration. She's not dying, at least that I know of. I don't know how to express that our relationship has completely exceeded coworker status, which is not necessarily something I wanted or expected. I usually keep to myself at work and try not to get too close to people. A job's a job, and I don't want to feel tied to people if I want to quit in the future. We work one-on-one in a very small office. I see her nearly every day. Severing or stepping back from the relationship would 100% make things very uncomfortable for me. But how do I make sure that she doesn't or can't will me her dogs or anything else? Because I really don't want that. And now onto the next update, titled, "My coworker wants to will her dogs to me if she dies." So I didn't expect hardly any attention on the last post. I also didn't expect to make an update. After reading all the comments on the last post, I decided to let it slide and not bring it up, as it was pointed out that it's unlikely she will die before all of her dogs do. So I stopped stressing about it until this morning. She has already left for the day. We have a weird work schedule, and it's too dumb to explain, so I'm writing this while I'm not busy at work. When I first got here, she brought it up again. The conversation went something like this. She says, "I was thinking about what I said yesterday, and almost called you last night to ask, but which one of my dogs is your favorite? Which one would you prefer to inherit?" I'm assuming this was a hypothetical question. I said, "Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably the smallest dog, because we don't have much room where we live." And she says, "Really? I thought you'd choose the other slightly larger dog." I nervously laugh and say, "Well, I wouldn't be able to take any of them most likely." And she says, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to die before my dogs anyways, but I know your heart, and I know you would take all 3 of them for me." And I say, I wouldn't be able to take care of all of them." And she says, "Yeah, still, I'm not dying, but I know you would figure it out." I said, "If you died tomorrow, I would not be able to take your dogs." And she says, "I just know you would." I said, "No, honestly, I couldn't. I'd have to rehome them." And she says, "Well, that'd be for you to figure out, but I know you'd love them so much that you'd either keep them or find them good homes. And if you don't, I'll haunt you." So now I'm back to worrying. One comment on the last post mentioned that I obviously struggle with setting boundaries, which I agree with. I'm in therapy and plan on bringing this situation up to my therapist during my next session. It's not the first time my kindness has been taken advantage of. Another comment pointed out how sad the situation must be for her, which is one of the reasons I'm struggling so much with this. She has lived a very hard and traumatic life. She has almost no one to support her. She told me so much about her life, basically trauma dumping, and I truly feel for her. She's been really supportive while I've been learning this job and helps me a lot. I feel guilty for even posting any of this. I just don't know what to do at this point. She's so lonely, and she's starting to seem really invested in our relationship as friends, more so than co-workers. I try to draw lines with co-workers, but she has crossed almost all of them. Most people just leave me alone because I tend to keep to myself. For F's sake, we share a tiny office, and she pisses with the door wide open and talks to me at the same time. In the comments, "I'm sorry, I'm really empathetic, and this just broke my heart." OP says, "I'm really empathetic as well. That's why I'm struggling so much. I hate the idea of disappointing or letting her down. She has a heart of gold and her intentions are good. She helps anyone and everyone for nothing in return and rarely receives the same kindness and help from others. I'm a good listener, for better or for worse. She vents to me every day about the things going on in her life, and I try to be supportive. I know she's lonely since her husband passed tragically 2 years ago. She's lived a very difficult life, and I feel obligated to be supportive and listen. I feel obligated to care for and be supportive of anyone who reaches out to me. Another reason I usually keep my distance while working. Opie responds to a longer comment regarding struggling on setting firm boundaries, especially when it comes to the workplace environment. Thank you for taking the time to write this response. I do recognize that I struggle with setting boundaries, especially in work-related environments. I'm afraid of letting people down or disappointing them and the repercussions of that happening. I plan on discussing this with my therapist as well in my next session. Another commenter says, "Nobody can make you take those dogs. If she dies, just say no if anyone contacts you. No point in giving her added stress." And a final commenter says, "You don't have to say anything. If she does will you the dogs, you would have the choice to accept or not when the lawyer contacted you. If she's only 60, there's a probability she will outlive the dogs anyway, so don't give it too much thought." I think Opie's instincts are correct on this one, and that she is using these dogs in order to continuously push those boundaries and try to establish more of a, I'd say, one-sided friendship. I accept that she is messed up, she has a lot of trauma, but she is trauma dumping on OP and using OP as an emotional outlet. Regardless of what she provides OP in return, in being very supportive and going out of her way to do things without expectation of anything in return in the workplace, it's not acceptable that she is trauma dumping and being so codependent on someone that's 25 years old. Like, I get the co-worker friendships and everything, but she's trying to form a deep emotional connection with such a gigantic age gap, and it's obviously not a romantic one, I get that. But to me, the difference in life stages and her trying to push her way into OP's life, I'm sure it's just going to be a recipe for disaster if OP allows her to keep pushing those boundaries. Like, it's really messed up that she leaves the door open while pissing, talking to OP. That's something some married couples don't even do with each other. Doing it with a friend at their house, maybe, even that's weird, but let's escalate it. You're doing it in the workplace. There is something wrong with you when you do that. That's grossly overstepping the boundaries there. You have to learn to say no to people like this 60-year-old woman, and you have to learn to put up walls, I think. Enough so that you don't get hurt in the process. Because to me, it seems like she is conditioning OP to feel like OP has to accept helping her out in ways that OP doesn't want to help her out in the future. I'm feeling inappropriate workplace relations with the door being open, but I'm also feeling like the door is being opened to potential hostile work environment when OP says no in the future and starts enforcing boundaries. I don't know, that's my ramble. Take it as you will. I'm concerned for OP, but maybe this is a canon event. It's a learning experience on how she can really just lay down boundaries, especially for those like this woman that is intent on pushing them. Good luck, OP, and thank you for the story. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.